confident India. Request everyone to please settle down. Insurance plays a pivotal role in fostering social security and economic growth. This session will explore how insurance can empower individuals, businesses, and communities in India, building a more resilient and confident society. The session will primarily discuss on how the insurance sector can address key social challenges, from financial inclusion to disaster preparedness, and contribute to a more secure future for all Indians while building trust by ensuring transparency, protecting consumer interests, and empowering individuals with financial security. Request everyone to please take their seats. I would now like to invite the moderator for the session, Mr. Kailash Mittal, Partner, Financial Risk Management and Head, Insurance and Actuary, KPMG India. Shri Prashant Kumar Goel, Joint Secretary, Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance. Mr. Sunil Sharma, CEO, RGA Insurance. Mr. Mayank Batwal, CEO, Aditya Birla Health Insurance Company Limited. Mr. Rushabh Gandhi, Managing Director and CEO, India First Life Insurance. Mr. Manoj Jain, Managing Director, Shriram Life Insurance. Mr. Satyendra Srivastav, Senior Partner, Consortia Legal. Over to you, Mr. Kailash Mittal.
A very warm welcome to all of you once again. Kailash this side, we spoke briefly in the morning, but it's a pleasure to host this session with some of the esteemed dignitaries and the co-panelists on the dais. If I could just request all of you to settle down and we'll set the ball rolling. Thank you. So I have the pleasure of welcoming Shri Prashant Goelji, Joint Secretary DFS. Thank you so much, sir, for making time and joining us. It's going to be a pleasure listening to you. I also take this occasion to welcome Mr. Manoj, Mr. Rushabh, Mr. Sunil, and Mr. Satyendra. As a protocol, I thought I'll take the liberty with the audience as well, and we are going to be addressing each other with their first names. And Prashant has also kindly agreed. So you'll see a bit of a protocol being broken, but I think that's okay. So just to set the tone, right, and set the ball rolling, what we are here to discuss is something very, very different, right? And we were just exchanging notes a while back, and we got an impression that, look, this topic is simple yet complicated. So as the panelists, we said that, yeah, this seems quite simple, quite okay, but at the same time, we were like, no, yeah, we've got to be careful on what we talk about. So take whatever we say with a pinch of salt, but yeah, we'll try and keep it as free-flowing as we can. In terms of what is it that we are kind of looking at, right? So we are looking at role of insurance towards the society. And as a part of the paper that was unveiled today morning, the essence, the idea was that how do we go from the current levels, which is around ensuring 450 odd million lives, to almost crossing 1 billion plus in another 23 years. And then that's the mandate, right? Given that perspective, where is that growth going to come from? there are only so many residents that are there in tier 1 cities and the uptown areas. Our sense is that the growth is going to come from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, and that's going to be the major driver. And we do sense a large part of the populace that is still uninsured, while they form a part of the insurable population, but they are still uninsured. And at the same time, what the essence or the thought process is that how does one approach, how does one reach out to these people? How do we ensure that, look, we are able to provide them the insurance cover, which is appropriate, which is based on the needs, and at the same time protects the lives and their livelihood. So on that note, if I could just request Prashant to just do your opening address and then share a few comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Kailash. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be part of this gathering where all top notches of the insurance industry in India are there. Insurance, reinsurance, everyone. So the topic of the discussion is role of insurance towards the society. Since morning we are hearing about insurance, like the numbers and what is happening. Goal for insurance for all by 2047. A parallel session was going on, health insurance for all by 2047. So, as Kailash said, this is more general topic, but there are nuances to this topic also. If I say like role of insurance, so why insurance? We say that insurance is one of the main factors in the economic growth of the country. But I would say that insurance is not the prime factor. Behind economic growth, there are other persons, other factors which are behind the economic growth. Be it industrialist who sets up an industry, be it entrepreneur who thinks about a business and sets up a big business. Now, in the today's digital world, more and more unicorns are coming up. Then there are individuals at different levels, be it salaried class, be it small shop owners, small factory owners, who are having their small enterprises, maybe individual owned and first generation, or maybe a tradition like family run enterprises. Then there is government who sets up big infrastructure projects in different parts of the economy. So what is the role of insurance? Role of insurance comes to support all this. So what is happening? Why we need that support? Because when as an entrepreneur or a businessman or even as a government, I'm taking a particular decision to set up a business, there are uncertainties. Uncertainties about different, like something may happen in the economy. We say that interest rate goes up or down. There may be a change in the demand pattern, even uncertainty about one's own life. And then perils about natural calamities. So different kind of uncertainties. So if these uncertainties prevail, it is very difficult for an entrepreneur or a businessman to take a call, like whether to set up a business or not. So there comes the role of insurance. We take care of those uncertainties and then enable a person to take a business decision. So that is the role, and that is a very, very important role. Without insurance, in the modern day, like the insurance industry started from the time of Industrial Revolution. There was no insurance prior to that. So as the Industrial Revolution unfolded, the insurance sector grew. And with India, in India, we are also seeing that as the economy is growing, insurance is growing. But are we able to achieve the goal which we set up for ourselves, support the economy? So if we see the figures, there are two parameters which are generally talked about. One is penetration. The penetration today is around 4% of GDP. And another is density, which is the insurance premium paid per capita. So in dollar terms, that is around $90 per year in the country. So if we see that insurance density penetration are very, very low if we compare with the world averages, leave aside the world's leading economies. So we are at a very, very low level in this penetration and density. And if we bisect this penetration and density, we'll find that most of the penetration is in the life space. In the non-life space, be it health, be it general insurance, crop insurance, whatever we may call it, the penetration or the density is extremely low. So what we are talking about? Are we talking about supporting the economy of the country, supporting the projects which the government or a particular entrepreneur is taking up? Are we talking about supporting the hydro power projects? But the numbers doesn't speak so. Penetration of only 1% of GDP is there in the non-life sector. So what is like, naturally there is some issue in the entire insurance ecosystem. There is some issue why people are not willing to take the insurance, or as a insurers, we are not able to sell our products. So I'll talk about a few of those issues. The topic is very much complex. There may be many issues which are interrelated. But one topic which I would like to, as a opening of this session, I will talk about the awareness. We all say that awareness need to be built up about the insurance and the role of insurance to provide the much needed security. So who is going to build up that insurance? Is any conversation taking place on that? Whose role it should be? Should the awareness be built up by the government, or is it the role of IRDAI to build up insurance awareness? Or it is our foot soldiers, we call it agents or whatever, point of sale persons. So, or even for, I would say for health insurance, hospitals, should hospitals or TPAs build the awareness, or our motor dealers should build the awareness? I think here we have to see ourselves as an industry, insurance industry, and leave aside the welfare thing. It's an industry, it has purely commercial undertones. There is a business sense in every policy we sell. There is business sense in every insurance call we take. We call it underwriting. So, as a small comparison, if we can compare ourselves with a FMCG company, any FMCG company. So how do FMCG companies operate? I, as a FMCG company, come up with a new product. I spend a lot on advertisement. I tell the customer, oh, this is a product and it is beneficial to you in different ways. If you open a channel, you will see commercials. But how many of us have seen commercials of an insurance company? Mainly commercial, if we see, they are from the broker side, Policy Bazaar or other brokers. Why can't life insurance companies give their commercials or their awareness campaign? And commercials are on the life side. Have we seen any commercial on, say, health side, or maybe property insurance side, maybe project insurance side? Have we seen any commercial? No. I can't recall. There might be very few. Of late, I was discussing with the LI Council and GI Council, and they told that they have got a mandate from IRDAI and even from the companies, their constituents, that insurance awareness has to be built up and a publicity campaign is to be launched. But I would say that it is okay for these councils to have this kind of campaign. But I think every insurance company, because it's a business sense for you, it is your product. And the more you sell, the more product you sell, the more benefit you drive. So I think every insurance company should look at it, how to advertise more, how to build up awareness. And in the awareness also, I would like to touch upon a few things, like what is happening. I'll give a few examples. Like in health, there is an issue of non-disclosure or pre-existing diseases, those kind of things. In project insurance, like if we insure a particular factory, there is an issue of like how much inventory we keep. So how much is insured? What is the insured value, declared value? And other issues like there is a procedure, particular procedure. You have to do FIR, you have to lodge, call fire brigade, some kind of reporting has to be done. There is particular way of maintaining of books. So if the awareness campaign can focus on these particular areas, like life insurance, if somebody is taking a life insurance, what are the 5 things which he should keep in mind? Which will help not only the insurance company to underwrite his risk better, but also the customer to get a claim in a much faster way in case that eventuality arises. In health, why can't we discuss about pre-existing diseases? How these pre-existing diseases, what kind of bearing it has on the claim, their claim. And there is another common practice. We call it like if somebody in health particularly, it's a big part of the industry, around 40%. We call it like if as per my policy, if I'm entitled to a hospital room worth 2,500 rupees, and if I stay in a room worth 5,000 rupees, so my entire health claim is reduced to half. So why can't we talk about this, and how many people do know about this? So I think the government is doing its part, councils are doing its part, IRDAI is doing its part. We are also collaborating with the different ministries also, like NatCat also, Surety Bond also. At different level we are engaging, but I think until unless the industry comes forward and try to reach the people, build the awareness, tell them about basic principles of the insurance. Like these are the principles. If you want to take a project insurance or a home insurance, you cannot get the money until unless your house is restored. It's a basic rule. Project insurance, like I have a hydroelectric project. Until unless my project is restored, I will not get any claim. So these are some basic principles or a principle of good faith, which you all say. Like until unless I disclose all the material facts. So my insurer is not bound to pay any claim to me. So they have to be told about this. They have to be told about material facts. What are the material facts? So what is happening? Why people are not buying insurance? Because somebody somewhere bought some insurance, agent missold it, or maybe other channel of distribution, maybe it's a broker or bank or whatever it is. They missold it. So at the time of claim, when he went to the company for claim, company either denied it or paid it partially. So that person goes back as a demonstration. He tells 10, 20, 50 people that, oh, I paid so much premium, but at the end when I required it, my company did not pay. So that gives a bad publicity to the entire industry. And mind you, till the time we approach them, make them understand about our product, our business is not going to expand. So please, that is what was coming to my mind, but we are open, a full panel is here and all the gathering is here. So all the suggestions, whatever will be coming, they are most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Prashant. That was really inspiring and from the heart, right? It wasn't scripted, so thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. And setting the tone. I think you pretty much set the tone in terms of what we are going to be discussing over the next half an hour or so. So on that note, right, maybe I'll just press the pedal and move around. So continuing on that same thought process, right, and maybe let's deep dive a bit into the risks or the product types. Rushabh, maybe if you want to just start and say that, look, what are those type of risk covers or product propositions which currently are not there or not in vogue, so as to speak, right? And which should definitely be touched upon as we embark on this journey for the next couple of decades.
Thanks, Kailash. I look at it very, very differently, right? So if insurance for all is to be a reality by 2047, then covers which are in vogue or covers which are not in vogue become pretty much irrelevant, right? Because literally everything needs to get covered. And I've been a very, very strong proponent, and I'll actually use this opportunity to share it with the larger audience, that at the end of the day, when it comes to insurance, literally there is nothing which is not insurable. Yes, the pricing will be different. If somebody is hale and hearty, and if he's taking a life insurance product, needless to say, the premiums will be very, very low. But that does not mean that if somebody who, and I'm exaggerating to make a point, but literally has one foot in the grave, is not insurable. I mean, if he's a 10 lakh cover, he might be paying 9.5 lakhs of premium, but he still needs to get that cover. And, we are in the world of hyper personalization, and I don't see us being very far away from the fact that literally every individual will get a cover that he or she deserves.
Sure. Thanks, Rishabh. Sunil, any thoughts on that?
I think we're just scratching the surface as an industry. Just covering the people in cities and multiple policies to the same rich individuals. There is a large population out there to target. If you look at, I think the key ones that I see which comes to mind is, say for example, we are now actually, we are a young population, but in the next decade, if you look at it, a significant chunk of the population is going to start retiring. And we are no more, a joint family system. All the people who can afford better education for their children are outside the country. So you're going to have just the couple left with nobody to take care of. And therefore, I think one large segment that I see is long-term care. Is a segment which is going to emerge, and I think that's we should really look at. The second that I see is, when people retire 60, 65, they may not necessarily be healthy. And why do we offer them the same annuity rates that we offer to an healthy guy? And therefore, I think a separate segment need to start. How do you give annuities to the people who are unhealthy? Because the annuity they'll live, their longevity will be much lower, and therefore they should get higher annuity. So I think they should get the fair share of the annuity. So I think these are the two segments that we really need to see. I think the other thing that I see is, apart from just the Mediclaim, the critical illness. It's not something new, but I think that's something which people need to really manage their lifestyle. While the hospitalization, everything is a little bit taken care of by the Mediclaim policies to some extent, but there's a pre, post, and a lot of rehabilitation expenses that people will have to incur, which actually puts the whole family, 5 years behind in certain, dreaded diseases. So I think there are a lot of innovations possible for critical illness, which industry should do. I think these are three areas that I think we can work more.
Thanks, Sunil. And we did see a bit of it during the COVID time, right? Suddenly there was an renewed enthusiasm in the industry and in the populace at large to say that, look, I need an insurance cover. On that note, maybe Satyendra, what's your thoughts on that?
Thank you. Thank you, CI, for this opportunity. And, when I must confess that, when this topic was shared with me, and, I shared this with Kailash last evening, I was wondering, role of insurance towards society. I am a lawyer on the panel. What am I actually going to say? Okay. And I kept thinking. And then I realized that, when you get a wide blank canvas, you can literally paint anything on it, right? So I'm not going to paint a very rosy picture today. And not because I'm the man standing between you and lunch. But, you reminded me of COVID, and, that takes me back, to something which is linked to this subject, which is role of insurance in society. And CII, of course. So CII did something very interesting. They put together a white paper on livelihood protection. There was a lot of discussion within the industry. Everybody was worried about the plight of the migrant worker and so on. And, that was also a time for the insurance industry to demonstrate that it had its heart in the right place. Although, as Mr. Goel pointed out, it's not welfare, right? It's ultimately an industry. But what we realized that after COVID was forgotten, even that brilliant proposition of creating a product to protect the livelihood of the underprivileged also got forgotten. Okay, so I would say that when you talk about the risks which can be insured in the wider spectrum of making contributions towards the society. I think it's a matter of it's a story of missed opportunities, and I say this not only because of the livelihood protection illustration that I cited. We need big ideas. Okay, we need big ideas because if we are talking about insuring all by 2047, it is not going to happen with the insurance industry alone. Okay, Mr. Goyal is here. We had the senior secretary from the financial services, Mr. Tangrila. He was just here a few minutes back, and we heard him this morning. Of course, Mr. Panda was also here. It is very important for all stakeholders to come together and look at these great ideas. Okay, there was a discussion on surety. Very famously, one of the leading the poster child of Indian startup ecosystem, he made a statement that most Indians are just a hospitalization away from bankruptcy. Now that's a big statement to make. Okay, so the point that I'm making is that there is a welfare intent, and that welfare intent maybe will have to be pursued if we are looking at realizing this lofty goal of insurance for all by 2047. And yes, so a broader stakeholder engagement, which is not only limited to insurance sector, but getting other ministries involved. I mentioned about the labor codes. Labor codes was when labor codes were being rewritten, that was the time when we could have interacted more closely with the ministry and gotten maybe the livelihood protection insurance for the migrant worker. So these are kind of missed opportunities. The MSME Act, right? When government amended the MSME Act, there was a possibility of looking at making perhaps medical cover mandatory for the employees of MSMEs. I mean, there are various ways through which the government, the regulator, and the industry can come together and see as to how there can be a greater contribution towards society. I'll just rest it there.
Sure. No, that's quite helpful, and that's a perspective, right, that to the table. That so while obviously there are a few missed opportunities, but Manoj, maybe on that note, coming to you, anything that you would want to share or talk about, which
So I think everybody has spoken on the opportunity. We are in this industry from last 25 years. I think there's a high time that we should now look segmental wise. The general insurance we have already taken here. Now, if we really want insurance for all, then segment specific we have to really focus. And one such segment which I feel like 10, 15 years back or 20 years back, there was nothing called microfinance lending. Now they have covered close to around 7 crore customers. Those are the customers who are taking credit sealed product, but that takes care only the loan part. Those 7 crore customers are there. If we industry can come together, a plan focusing on that segment, and like that, as somebody already said, that a cancer specific product, diabetic specific product, unless we will not do that, the next level of growth, the next level of penetration is not going to be the reality. So this is a high time, like I always say that I come from a trucking community. We are from Shri Ram Group, and we understand that segment well. So we are covering from last so many years the truck driver, the segment which nobody want to touch. And it's a profitable business, win-win for all stakeholders. Like this, if we can have many more segments, I think the insurance for all by 2047 can be a great reality and win for everyone. And I fully agree with Mr. Goyal. Awareness is somewhere we are missing. Sometimes we carried away. He had given a very good perspective that the learning part to the larger audience, if that can be provided in collaboration with the government and the Life Council, that can get a long way. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Manoj. That was very helpful as a case study, right? Talking about a particular segment, especially for the trucking community, which, come to think of it, someone would say, do I really want to get into that segment, right, in the first place? And then that will be the initial perception where you'll start from. Any other case study that any of the panelists would want to talk about on this note? Maybe Rishabh, if you have something you want to share.
So something that Kailash we do very very well as an organization, and I think also as a country, right, is let's say PMJJBY, right? It's a scheme which is being promoted by the government of India, and it's played such a critical role in creating insurance awareness. It's not funny. Today, give and take a few, we have about crore customers on PMJJBY alone, and each and every of these 10 million customers realize that insurance is important, so awareness is being created. They realize that 2 lakhs of cover is probably not enough, so there's an opportunity to upsell. And we've been kind of insuring them now for a good decade. So we pretty much can siphon off the good lives versus the bad. I mean, the bad ones are no longer there actually, but it gives us that opportunity. So I think closer to home, like Manoj mentioned, the truckers, as far as Shriram is concerned, I think PMJJBY is a good case study in itself, and which is what I thought I'll share with the audience.
Sure. Thanks, Rishabh. Sunil, please.
I think one classic example that I would like to share here is, you would have not seen here, but I remember it from my South African experience because I was part of the Old Mutual in Cape Town. And, they wanted to inculcate the habit of saving, which is, I think, is also needed in our country as well. So what they did, you paying by credit card or debit card or whatever. What they did actually, along with that, you can predefine. Let's say you actually buy a bag for rupees 2,000 rupees, and you basically do a setting that 2,000. So 10% of whatever expenses I incurred will actually be deducted from my card, credit card or debit card, and will go to the insurance account. And there was a discipline which they created, and the people actually get into the habit of forced saving. So the saving was going into a policy. And every time they spend, 10% of their spend was going into the saving. And it was an amazing product, very successful in Cape Town. So maybe something like that could be started, like microinsurance we got. We had something like, I think LIC, I worked in LIC 9.5 years, so proud of that. I'm saying the GSLI was a classic example of that, Dinesh ji. I think, wherein you have all that group saving linked insurance. Can something like that could be done in organized sector? I think we do that for organized sector, but something like that which can actually kind of start small savings along with the linked insurance. So I think something like this could probably help in terms of insurance penetration in the market.
Absolutely, and I think we are on a roll, right? So all the insurers and the product people out there, feel free to kind of dip into this.
Kailash, I have one point on So I think not enough is being done on the climate side. Right, so the parametric solutions, which can basically help redesign or readdress the entire, the risk, the unanswered risk problems of, the country and the society as a whole. Okay, that is something that needs to be done on a very urgent basis. And I'm sure that a few states have taken this up with the help of insurers and reinsurers, but much more needs to be done as far as parametric is concerned, because that is one segment which can really be, it can really help in terms of addressing many of the climate-related issues, which could have then a cascading impact on livelihood and other, related issues.
No, absolutely. I think, Satyen, you've touched upon a very, very good point, right? And as an example, right, we would have read it in the papers. There are a few pockets in the US and another hurricane or the tornado or the cyclonic belt where no one is really wanting to insure those households against a property, right? Because they're saying that whatever be the sum insured, I am in all likelihood bound to pay. And the example that Rishabh you said, right? If it's a 10 lakh rupee cover, then I might as well ask you for 9.5 lakh rupees of premium, right? But on that note, Sunil, picking on you, but in your hat as a reinsurer, any thoughts in terms of what could culminate into a product proposition and a win-win for all, for all these stakeholders while avoiding such pockets in the Indian environment, right? We're seeing Chennai floods recurring year after year. We're seeing, cloudburst events. We are seeing floods in Rajasthan all of a sudden, and so on and so forth. Any take on it? Any thoughts?
I think it's really unfortunate. Most of these events that happen, you will see there are no insurance losses, and you will all agree. I think we all see event happening. There's an flood. That's all those sort of natural events happen. Unfortunately, the population is not insured. They don't even have the insurance. I think the regulator give the instructions and we need to quickly settle the claim, but we hardly see those claims. And I think it's really important for us to really increase the awareness as it comes to that question.
Yep.
So I think all these people who are, let's say fishermen, for example, people around that area who do low income people really need insurance. As a reinsurance, I think some of the group insurance is probably the best way to really provide coverage to them in most cost-effective manner. Individual business, we understand that the acquisition costs are really high, and for low cover, it does not provide that sort of economies of scale. But I think some of those guys or people actually who are more vulnerable probably can be covered under the group schemes along with the state governments or those sort of thing. And I think the entire insurance industry should participate in some of those things, and some of those risks can be assessed.
Correct. No, that's quite fair. And Prashant, maybe coming back to you, right? I'm sure sitting in the DFS, this is something that will be playing on your mind, that how do we kind of address these NatCat events? What is it that we do? While you did touch upon awareness as a very pertinent topic, but maybe a couple of asks / suggestions / thoughts in terms of what could we do better and how could we as an industry collaborate more with the government on this? And any thoughts?
Actually, on NatCat, we are very actively collaborating with NDMA. There have been a series of workshops and discussions where because the government is also aware that the likelihood of any adverse event and the severity of the same of a severe localized event is going to increase. It has increased and it is going to increase. And it can have a very disastrous consequence for the economy of the area, be it in terms of life losses or property or the losses to the economy. So what we are encouraging right now is that to have some kind of mechanism where these kind of perils can be covered. It will be a parametric solution, maybe like in India, if you can say that, okay, the biggest risk is sudden rainfall. So maybe a product to cover that rainfall. But the success of it will depend on how many states come forward. Because insurance work on a concept of pooling. So until unless the ideal situation would be that the entire country is insured. Against that, maybe two different insurers that doesn't matter. Way of tendering or whatever way they can consider. But losses happening in one part are compensated by premiums from the other part. So that is basic concept of the insurance. So I think again, maybe we can think of, we are also trying to, I already said, NDMA has actually roped in, we are trying to come up with something. But as an industry also, if we can start reaching the government, start that kind of awareness building in their mind. Maybe another thought can be wherever the insurance company thinks that chance of a particular peril is low, and they are able to convince them, maybe, but it should not be very, very low. So ultimately, premium comes and nothing goes out as a payoff. Because the payoffs which, the claims which we are paying, they have a demonstrative effect. If the state government comes up with something okay, I will insure this asset against a particular calamity. In case they are able to get a claim within say a short period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So they will be motivated, and because it was said about by Rishabh about JGV. So once they get the habit of this insurance, only then they will come. So I think all of us have it becomes a duty to reach to the state government. From our part, We'll also be writing to them in different workshops or by way of letters or different meetings. Secondly, I would like to say about the complexity of the product which we are having. Different type, moving away from the net cat thing. Like JJY, it has been told that people are very happy. One, it's a low cost product, and secondly, there are no incentives. The policy terms are very, very clear, like everyone is from this age to this age is covered. Single premium product, like premium also doesn't vary, whether you are 25 years of age or you are 50 years of age. So it is very easy for a customer to understand. So it depends on our ingenuity, like as an industry. If we can come up with more of such product, like it has been told about group cover for the property or the businesses. Maybe this is also another same kind of thing. If any company can come up with any such product, which are very simple to understand, I think people will be more motivated, and your entire transaction cost, because most of the transaction cost goes into making the person understand what the product he is buying, and then processing of the claim, your verification, documentation, those kind of things. If you can make your product so simple that for making it understand it hardly takes a minute, so your transaction cost will come, and your premiums and all other things, your all other different kind of costs will come. So I think that is the area where we should work upon. IRDAI has also enabled that in the form of CAS. Every insurance policy should be given with a customer information sheet. But I think we should make our products simple.
I think that's a very, very good point in terms of addressing the point of sale complexities and saying make the proposition, make the narrative very simple, right? Such that it's an informed decision making process, right? From a claim settlement, and that's the moment of truth, right? Manoj, you've got a very, very, very good case study on that, and I would love for you to share it with the audience.
I think some aspect Mr. Goel has already covered. See, as long as you are making product simple, easy to understand, and there is no ifs and buts, the claim settlement is and priced properly, then we are settling 100% claims. And top of it, rather, whenever we settle a claim, we are making that family an option if they want to join insurance industry. So we are offering them even the livelihood also, because nobody can be a better ambassador than that family itself to sell and to take the importance of life insurance. How we are doing is a simple product, easy to understand. It's a segment which we understand, and in this way, I think we can reach pretty simple. And I fully agree with Rishabh. The PMJJYY may not be a big profit earning for an insurance company, but I think 10 years of data is there. That data can really be used to sell, upsell, and change the habit of those customers who has taken insurance or they are under insurance, and those can be really, again take us to the next level of penetration, which we are all looking for. That's what I can say.
Cool, thanks. Maybe switching gears a bit, right? While obviously there is a welfare part of it, there's an awareness part of it, but there's also the commercial and the business dynamics part of it, right? And all of us are aware that, look, it's the cost of outreach or the, cents spent for every dollar collected or the money spent for every rupee booked as a premium ends up being slightly higher the moment you make an outreach into the tier 2, tier 3 cities and the rural areas. While yes, it is definitely a challenge, it's a problem that we should try and solve. But any thoughts, any views in terms of how one could go about it, any practices that you would like to share? Manoj, if you want to do that, or Rishabh? Go on, yeah.
So, as we penetrate more and more into rural India, and that's why the next big opportunity clearly is, right? Clearly, the brick and mortar model is not going to sustain. Having your typical branch, having branch managers, having unit managers, having agents, it's not going to kind of sustain from a pure standalone economic standpoint. But if you look at some other data points, right? So I don't know how many of you are aware, but at last count, there were about 82 crore mobile internet users in the country. And half of these were actually in rural India. Today, if you have a mobile phone and a smart one at that, and if you have internet connectivity, there's pretty much nothing that you can't do. And my sense is that going forward, you will hear a lot more of the phygital model that people have spoken a lot about. A little bit of physical, a little bit of digital. And the reason I say it can't be pure play digital is because insurance continues to be a slightly complex product. It needs that little bit of human intervention. But I think you'll see a hybrid model, and that I think will manage the economics, and that will also help us, literally insure every Indian by 2047.
Sure, thanks. Sunil, and then maybe Manoj.
No, I think, see, the challenge with insurance is it's not something which is visible. It doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a shape. Like you're buying a car, you can see the wheels and, you can see the shining color and the power of the engine, etc. It's a very boring product. People don't understand it. Unfortunately, the sellers don't understand it. It's very unfortunate. Just think about you buying a car and the car seller doesn't understand the functioning of the car. That's what the situation is in the insurance industry as of now. We are coming up with more and more complex products. And who's selling it? Think about it. Who's selling it? The agent out there. What is the education of the agent? How much experience and all that? So I think it's a big dilemma that we have. It's a challenge for the industry. And therefore, I think what I see is, I think there is a lot of investments that industry, the government, has to make on education. And I think it's simple. We just need to simplify the messaging to the customer. I think it's making so complex in terms of communicating with the customers. The agent just build up some story which he believes or she believes is probably going to sell because he's interested in just quickly get the premium and the commission and that's over. But I think it's about, I think the simple messaging, insurance is basically an instrument which helps removing the uncertainty from the lives of a small balance sheet of an individual, which is too vulnerable. Very small balance sheet of an individual to a very strong, large balance sheet of an insurance company. I think this simple message will have to be there. And I think the messaging will have to be very clear because we were talking about that in the session was, every Indian thinks they are immortal. I'm not going to die. Somebody else is dying. I'm not going to die. And if you look at the whole educated class in the country are heavily underinsured. Term assurance cost is not something which is saving. It's not giving me anything if I survive. But nobody thinks about you could die. And there are actually people you're leaving behind, and you may be under huge debt. Nowadays everybody's under debt. Simple credit cards, home loans, car loans. And so I think we need to really spend on the education. And few thoughts that I have in terms of the education, I think simplifying the insurance. Simplify it. I think just go back to the basics. When I entered the insurance first day, I actually went to the class in LIC and somebody told me just the first principles of insurance. I think just the first principle in terms of what is insurance, what it's trying to do. I think we need to introduce, and I think it's a request from the government. I think we need to introduce chapters in our elementary education, maybe 8th standard or 9th standard, something on insurance. People qualify, they become BSc, MSc, they don't know about insurance because they have never had the opportunity to really read anything about insurance. Very unfortunate. So I think that some of these initiatives will have to really do that. I think the acquisition cost will come down. There will be automatic buying of insurance. Your agents will get more educated, and awareness will go up. I think we need to do that. It's an investment required in a systematic manner by industry, by the government, by the regulator to really increase the education.
Thanks, Sunil. Manoj, any quick comments?
I think everybody had said the same thing, and I'm going to again repeat. The larger answer lies in the simplicity of the product. If that is there, easy to understand, that will take care of the distribution cost, because currently it's more a push product. How we can have from push to pull. If that answers, if that can come, I think this can take to the next level.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, that's very helpful. I've already been sounded off for time, so maybe the last question, right? See, as an industry, right, we are so used to insurance penetration as a definition, right? But is that the best definition out there, or could we have something more relevant, more easy to understand? I don't know. It's just a bouncer question coming on the last ball.
It's interesting that you asked this one, Kailash, because I've always wondered, as insurance penetration as a percentage of GDP is 3.2% for life insurance, and I mean, what does it exactly mean, right? So, I think I'm a big fan of simplifying it clearly, and there are multiple ways to kind of look at it. I think as a starting point, the number of lives that you covered, take the denominator as the total Indian population, and that's a pretty good way of starting off. And then kind of you want to see if there is a protection gap, right? Because you hear this so often that insurance to le liya, but is the insurance cover enough? And then you kind of, probably overlay, the insurance premium that you collected with the disposable income. And I think we'll probably have a definition which is easier for people to understand. I think percentage of GDP, while it's something which is used worldwide, I think it's fairly complex.
Fair enough.
And one more thing is that morning I was just looking at your slide, 160 crore you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where is 160 crore customers?
Exactly.
We have to see household. You can't give to the kids.
Yeah.
So that also needs to be.
So that's where I said 100 crore is the number. We look at a billion and not go all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, fair enough. Okay, so that's been an interesting. Any other thoughts? Sorry, on the metric. So we had two takeaways. One is number of people insured divided by the total populace, and then the second was maybe a simplified version. And I'm just Rushabh continuing on that. X times your salary.
So I was recently in Yokohama for our RG seminar.
Yeah.
And when I looked at, one of the presentation was about the insurance industry in Japan. And what measure is, I like that measure. They say the insurance premium per household.
Per household. Okay.
It was a good measure because, you can have 4 members in the family, 3 members. You at least know that, per household, this much insurance premium is coming in. It probably could be a good measure.
Yeah. Thank you. Do we have time for a couple of questions from the audience? No, we are standing between you guys and the lunch. So any brave soul who wants to raise his or her hand, we'll have 200 people looking at you. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Hi, sorry about that. I'm Pranshu from Paytm. This is actually to Sunil and Satyendra. It's more a comment, right? So there are some of the things that you mentioned actually are happening in India. For example, you mentioned the point about Chennai floods. Actually, we offer shopkeeper insurance at scale to merchants. So we paid a lot of claims at that time. A lot of parametric insurance on NatCat. So we call it 5 elements cover, is bundled into a merchant Sati program, which is a 49 rupees a month program. So some of that happens. And your pay-per transaction product, in fact, we launched it with Rishabh Gandhi's India First, wherein we, in my previous role at Ola, for every ride you added a 5 rupees life insurance cover. And the more rides you take, your cover rises. So there are a lot of innovations, micro innovations happening across the length and breadth of India, but a lot of it does not come into prominence. Just wanted to make that comment.
Cool. Thank you. There was one more hand. I think that's the last hand.
So my question is especially our topic today of this session, role of insurance towards society, towards India. I have recently filed one of the idea by Ministry of Electronics AI mission and mentioned that okay, we develop one smart vehicle number plate. And it has if a person driver behavior is good and something proper insurance and proper things, it is and apart from it have a border light, different electronics light will be displayed. So one of the suggestion I give that whether we can be insurance can be part of it, because if driving behavior is good, then insurance will give a reverse, or government give us some incentive, how PLI something. This way we can fight some with our road safety issues in India. So how the insurance will, whether take interest such kind of initiatives, because how mobile, this is a device which never seen before 20 years ago. But we devise, let us we develop such kind of hardware, which is entire ecosystem will win and India will win. So what is your thought process on this to later on connect?
So I'm a practitioner of life insurance, so not necessarily the apt guy to respond. But what you said is very, very common world over. So whether it's a smart number plate or it's some other gadget which is in the car, there are ways and means to determine the driving capability and the driving style of the driver per se, and then the insurance premium varies. So I don't think it's a far-flung thought when you talk about it coming into India.
And are there instances, so maybe just leveraging on whatever GI I've picked up in the last decade or so, so are there gadgets that can be attached to the vehicle which monitor the amount of braking or acceleration and the sudden pickup? There are vehicles and there's a cost to it, but is that being mandated by the government, by the industry at large, is a question. That's one part. The second part is that the challan data, right, that we get picked up, and it's pretty much now automated. There are serious talks that should flow into as a part and parcel of the Vahan portal, and should that be made accessible at the time of your motor vehicle insurance. So that's the other thought that's going on as per, right? So on that note, thank you gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you once again, Prashantji, for taking time out and sitting through. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We will now break for lunch. Request everyone to please be back in the hall by 2:40. We'll be starting the next session. Thank you.